Hello, welcome back to the YouTube. For those of you that are here after watching part one, welcome. I'm doing this on a different day, so if I repeat some things, I apologize. We are watching Nova KBG. This is game two. Nova looked like pretty shaky in game one, I'd say. Like, I think that there were a lot of simple mistakes they can fix on, and that's like where I think I'm gonna a lot of the focus for me is gonna be directed. But past that, I'll be interested to see how they continue to draft. I mean, we can already see that this draft is gonna be really interesting. So yeah, super excited to talk a little bit more about that in terms of how they're gonna play the game. So we start off Jay's Fiddle. Interesting to see Fiddle banned on blue. I think they probably smelled something up here when they saw no Hecarim ban. I don't know. If you can force KBG to ban Fiddle by just not banning Hecarim 1, it's 100% worth it. Having two forced bans on red, I think makes the draft really hard. I don't think it's impossible to play out because I really think that this one too for red is really good right now after watching some of the Thunder Talk Weibo games today, which we will be going over in uh, later. Don't worry, I'm going to be talking about Neela Jungle and that, so stay tuned for that if you all are interested in that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, interesting to see Jace Prio here. Haven't seen a ton of that. Uh, Maybe it's just again a Nova thing. Fiddle makes sense. I've sort of spoken about this a few times now. I don't think Akali's that great. I think she's like fine though. I wouldn't ban it against like Nian because if Nian picks it, you're like okay, cool, thanks. Like I think you like it if they pick Akali here. Um, Fiora Jax ban. And then Ziggs ban. I'm obviously talk about. I like Ziggs a lot, so I think he's still very good. To me, what these two signify is immediately a 1-2 for Camille. So basically, what they're doing here is they're trying to force a Hecarim Camille trade. So they're obviously saying, well, you get to B1 Hecarim, but then we get Camille, and she is the best top laner still on the board by far. Um, obviously like Renekton, Aatrox, Gwen, still up and playable, but it's a bit interesting to see that they're gonna go in that hard on the Camille. I've already spoken about it a few times. I'm not a huge fan of the Camille in general. I don't think she's that great, especially when these two are up. But I'd say she's probably the third best top laner in the league if you don't have Jax Fiora up. Then she's a lot stronger. Um, I also don't know about her matchup into Gwen. If she has a bad matchup into Gwen, then you should just never pick her, but it doesn't look like she does. So Hecarim B1 makes a ton of sense, obviously. Then we get Camille Galio. I would have preferred something other than Galio, but Camille Galio is the classic in terms of how you're going to draft. Blue 2-3. We see what Renekton and Zeri. So this is just they see yeah. So Renekton makes sense. You're just answering support for support. I think or you're answering top for top. I think I would have preferred to see a support answer here, unless you feel like super comfortable playing Nautilus or like as long as you think that there are three options in the Galio. If you're like, okay, cool, we can play Not or Alistar. As long as you can play one of these two into the Galio, you're fine with not picking a support here because they can only ban two supports here. So you're good in terms of that. So I don't mind the Zeri pick here, especially if it's going to insulate you. Like if you want to go Zeri here and then protect bans here for what you're going to pick, it makes a lot of sense. And then we see the Shen lock in. Makes a lot of sense as well. I'm not a huge fan of these three together. I feel like you're going to kind of lack damage. And it feels like the Camille's really the only person with an engage tool. Like Shenald Galio, it doesn't look that great to me. And I don't really like if you're like doing like a Camille, Shen, Galio ult all on top of each other. I feel like that's kind of a waste to just kill one person. Let me just okay, there we go. So we see Gragas, Orn bands make sense if you're like, we don't like either of those into Galio. These two bans make sense as well. I'm not a huge fan of cast ban here unless you're really worried about it into Zeri or yeah, because to me a cast ban here signifies that you're trying to take Vlad, and I think that you just kind of end up giving away Vlad for free here. I bet that they want to take Vlad here and then Nova just pick it here because that like once you ban Cass Akali, I feel like that's a signal. Like you've banned Akali here, Cass here. It's a signal to me that you're trying to take Vlad here. I'm not a huge fan of it. I think you'd rather just be able to trade Cass Vlad. I like the Vlad pick. I'm not a huge fan of Zoe in general, but I think she's very good right now. I just don't like her with this team comp because you've got like four sections of full engage, and then Zoe's just kind of there as a poke champion, and she doesn't really fit. So I'm not a huge fan. Alistar makes sense, and then Kai'Sa here makes sense. You got to fit that 180C rule in. Kai'Sa's probably gonna go 80. She could go mixed, but I don't think that's very good. So this has been a bit of a popular start where we've seen a lot of the junglers just kind of like instead of do early ward here, they've just ran mid and then sit in this brush, trying to get like a ward there or you know some sort of early vision. Um, it's been interesting that this is the new start for junglers. 18, 19. God, I hate this. This has become pretty popular. The like early Raptors invade. It's really fucking bad and like loses to almost everything because again, um, when you do an early Raptors invade, you have to get red buff. I think it's mandatory that you get red buff because if you don't get red buff, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to either go this way, right? You have to clear east to west, because they will see you if you run through mid lane, right? So you're either gonna have to take a really really long pathing around like all the way down here to get back to your red buff to protect it. In which case you're losing a ton of time on these camps, and it makes no sense. Or you have to go get this red buff and then like loop around here and sort of make that your pathing. And then these guys just get to go straight up south to west or east to west, west to east. So I'm not a huge fan of the early invade. You can see as well they get vision of it. So it's probably going to be an east to west game for Long and for Dat. So expect him to go like this. Expect Long to do the similar thing. Probably just going to try to grab. If I'm doing it, I like to try to grab the red. I need to double check my blast cone spawn timers. It shouldn't be up yet. So he might just go like this way, Raptors dash into red, depending on if he thinks he has time or not. Gotta remember the Hecarim clear is extremely fast, so. Okay, these are the runes from last game. I was like, what the fuck, Jax isn't in the game, so these are not correct. Anarin stacking wave. Long goes to grab red buff, like I said. So instead of trying to do like just blast cone shenanigans, because you can like blast cone here and then blast cone over this wall, just gonna walk around. Makes a lot of sense. Can't believe I forgot about that walking. He could also just go grab the. Oh, he can't grab Krugs. It's a little too risky. Could go grab Raptors though, probably. So he's gonna be met by Anaran and Raptors. Anaran's taking a ton of damage. Flash for flash. Long gets slept. Doesn't get a lot of the Raptors. Oh, he doesn't see Dad here either. So, this is about as good of a start as you get in terms of what's going on in the game. Like, you get the early kill onto your mid laner. Their jungler's kind of fucked because he's probably going to come out this way. Like, his camps are going to be respawning at weird times, right? He's stuck with the big chicken only, right? And you're gonna have to either A, kill it, or you're gonna have to wait for it to die and then manually respawn. So that's like a cycle of jungle right there that you're waiting on. So it's like Long is in a great spot here, Nian's in a great spot here. Um, Anaran burned Flash, so Nian's feeling very good about that. Got the first kill as well. Um, Bot lane not able to get any plates because they both moved at the same time. Just a really good play. And again, this is why I'm gonna lose my fucking mind at and I made a video on it. I scrapped it because I just couldn't stand watching that fucking game. Now's INV. If you watch it, what happens is the Kha'Zix does a similar thing where he's gonna invade here. When it was Aatrox Kha'Zix jungle matchup, Aatrox invades early here, and then Kha'Zix is gonna invade early here. But it's literally the exact same scenario that we have right here, except poorly executed. If you want to mull a little bit, go look at that game instead. But this is like the just perfect execution for what I'm looking for in terms of if it's like, hey, how do I actually do an invade correctly? Boom, right there. Again, I've spoken about it previously. I think Long is probably one of the best at jungle adaptations in terms of like, I think that he has the best. Uh, like it's Long, it's 0-7-11. I know I spoke about this last game. I'll speak about it again. Long 0-7-11, and then I think Dad's probably like in this discussion as well. I don't think it's fair to have a discussion about like the greatest players in the game without talking about a KBG player. I think that's a little bit disingenuous if you like if you ever hear somebody having a discussion about like a great like one of the greatest players in their role and they're not mentioning a KBG player, like I don't think that you necessarily have to think that that's the best jungler. I don't think that's fair. And like I said last time, I think he has obvious holes in this game. But if you're looking to improve on jungle pathing, watch those two. Long specifically, but just great jungle pathing here from him and Zero. Um, I think there was a game against FPX when 0-7 was still on that in WRL2. One of the greatest jungle pathing games of all time. They West East jungled for like 4 fucking minutes. It was beautiful. So Galio's gonna come here a little bit later. Looks like he just goes to help out mid. So Long now can just continue to do a normal north to south because he's guaranteed to get level 5, right? So because he got 1 and then a bunch of XP here and an assist, as well as getting this here, although he is technically down a camp right here, that camp, the Raptors, he is still going to get level 5 off of the full clear, which is all that you care about on Shen. Shen, your biggest power spike is level 5. That's the big, like, I need to get this in terms of jungle objectives, or I am going to get rolled. And so that's the most important part of this game. Probably just getting vision so that he knows the timer. Oh, this is. Oh, this is. So, I don't know what the fuck that is. This is. I'm pretty sure. Again, I don't know the timers on this shit. But what I'd imagine he's doing is he's just grabbing the buff probably slightly later so that he can refresh the timer, right? So he's first of all making sure that this doesn't get invaded. Hover your jungler or hover your top lane a little bit, just make sure because he knows that this guy doesn't have any camps right now, so that he probably gonna be looking to invade if he doesn't have any camps. The other thing is like you don't need to get this because you still have red buff on Long, so he can hold it for as long as he wants and then have the red buff respawn a little later so that his buffs still overlap. Really good play. So bot lane gets a shove off, they get a recall. Looks like the top lane is relatively even in terms of both CS and XP. So Renekton just moves down there, grab the honey fruit to reach in a little bit because he probably doesn't want to use his own yet. It's also just again, it's additional resources, right? Like you just get additional resources if you use the honey fruit in the river instead of in your turret. So make sure you're trying to use those if possible, right? Like don't force those honey fruits to be used. Yeah, me just getting deep vision in terms of like jungle camps. So we got wards on raptors, wards on krugs, so we're gonna know when those respawn. I don't know why, but whenever I play Nova KBG, I start fucking yawning insanely. Um, I'm also tired because I woke up at godforsaken hours of the morning to co-stream, but we don't talk about that. Yeah. Speaking of which, I will be co-streaming WRL for most of this week, so if you are interested in that, make sure you check it out on my Twitch. I mean, this is a dream scenario for Nova in terms of what's going on here. Like, like I said, you still got a pretty big lead. You know where a lot of the jungle camps are at. Um, the enemy jungler is kind of in a weird scenario where he's having to like play the game on a weird timer because he got certain camps but didn't get others. It's really risky, and it's why that I hate because I've watched other people's content. Let me be clear, I'm not gonna name names, but people suggest invading like level 1 into raptors pretty consistently, and it's an awful idea. It's just I hate I hate it when people recommend things that don't actually like get you to improve, but that are just like, hey, just like do this cheese strat instead. It's like no, like tell people how to actually fucking improve. Don't just tell them to cheese. Okay, so Herald rotations. You can see that again. They're dropping the spot wave to go fight for mid prio. Both of them right here. We got 4 people mid. There are 4 people top side. Um, we're actually just finished clearing wave. All oats are online, so that'll be interesting. Again, interesting that Long didn't go here and then do like the normal Shen play, which we have seen is, he's gonna try to push this in, take Drake himself, and then once he takes Drake himself, just ult onto like Yami or Yais as they harass. Looks like they're prioritizing Herald for a little bit more. Dad also definitely didn't do himself any favors with how far he leashed out Herald both times. So yeah. Herald's at too high HP for this to actually like be a flip, so it's all about the team fight here. So when you're considering Herald team fights, right? First of all, consider what HP it's at. Second of all, will the eye spawn? And third of all, if the eye spawns, who is the Herald aggroing, right? Because if the Herald is aggroing your team while eye spawns, you're in a disadvantageous scenario because the Herald will face you, right? You can see that the eye here is backing up and it's got aggro on Dat. So if, Nova was like, if this was at like 1800 HP or something, Nova in a way better scenario because they can have like Long do a smite as Yami autos the eye. KBG winning the team fight so far. Long gets the smite though. So, what sort of happens here is you can see with the Galio ultimate, they're able to force KBG out into this choke point, and then once you're here, Galio can pop his W, get a AOE taunt, and then Long's able to get the smite. Yeah, just gets the smite. Doesn't look like Dad even is able to get it off. Nian flashes out. Long does die. Again, Shen is a bit cheatery with how he can play the game, right? Because he can go immediately start up Drake, and then Long can just ult on top of him. And so there's not actually a lot of risk. Meanwhile, you see this, KBG, they took a lot of damage, they need to take a reset. Long technically gets a free reset. Drop mid prior to recall. Not going to miss any CS though because it's a cannon wave. And it's also just good recall timings. Anran probably has blue runes, which is I think the normal set on Zoe. Starting Cleaver Hecarim. So I've seen a couple builds. I haven't gotten like many Hecarim games. I just don't enjoy playing him. Uh, I think that starting Cleaver is better. I don't see why people start Sunderer. It doesn't really make sense to me. Like Cleaver is better in terms of like armor shred is very valuable early, and giving you attack speed also has like normally people don't care about the phage benefit of like giving you attack speed. They're just like, okay, I want armor shred. Like if you're playing like Jin Zhao or something, it's like, oh cool, I get extra move speed. Or like Aatrox as well. Like the normal like bruiser junglers, Wukong to a similar extent. It's like I have movement anyways. I have CC. I don't really care about moving faster. But when someone like Hecarim does it, and it has a proportional relationship to how effective his passive is, which is really really important. And like his passive is super useful, so you should aim to maximize it when possible. Obviously, you don't like aim to just maximize his passive. You still need to build damage, but just that. Um, so this is a valiant attempt. Sometimes you can, with Alistar, you can headbutt Herald. If you're looking for some cheese, if they drop Herald as wave is coming in right under turret, normally it'll aggro on the turret. But if you bounce it back far enough, like right here, it'll aggro on the minions instead. So that's a little cheese play for all you in your Alistar games. That said, turret's still going to go down. So Long is only going to get the plate gold from Herald. I don't think he gets local gold here. Remake's going to get local gold, same with Yami. I would have liked to have seen Yami try to get out of local gold range here, but I don't think that's necessarily super likely. Also get that mid turret, first turret gold as well, so super valuable. We saw last game how valuable the mid turret was in terms of just creating pressure. The Coca-Cola first turret combined with the Red Bull Baron power play, the forbidden technique. Interesting that Dat opts to go Mercs here. It's not like super surprising, but like I think that there's just as much AD as there is AP, right? Like AD, some AP if he builds Sunderer or if he builds Sunfire. AP, a good amount of AP on the team as well. But I think there's just enough AD. It's just one of those like interesting things about like what he's thinking. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I think it's probably a fine logic. It's also because I expect him to build maybe more uh, armor, shred, or armor in general. Long trying to channel the ultimate to save the teammate, which is teammate dies anyway, which is the worst feeling because that's like, well, my ultimate did nothing. Dat going for a repeat gank. Spirit of Safety is such a good ability. Like, if that ability was on any other champion, it'd be insane. So just get KG just gets caught under turret aggro, and then with the taunt, he's not able to live. So good play by Long. What's going on in the bot lane though? They drop mid prio. Both teams. Nian gets slept, but I don't think that matters. Yeah, we're back to just ping-ponging waves. Anran going crown first. Nian not going rocket belt, instead instead cleanse QSS here, which is an interesting choice. They're going to be able to both get recalls here. See how much gold is missed there. Again, I like, if you're like losing and you need econ, Medjai's is just such a fucking insane item right now. It is going to get nerfed. I don't remember what the nerfs were exactly, but still, this item is really good right now. Yeah. Other than that, Sunderer looking anti-heal here probably, then maybe split push. Yeah, normal Shen build, pretty normal Kaisa build. Thank God not going Duskblade. Normal Zeri build. Yeah, I think all of these builds are normal. I don't think there's a ton that I have like complaints about it. I'll probably put this on Twitter, but if you've got it to this far in the video, feel free to comment as well. Would people be more interested if I just did this on like specific roles instead of, team play in general? Like if I was to just do a jungle breakdown. I know for a fact I'm gonna do the Neela jungle breakdown because that is just such a fun champion. I had no clue that that was a thing in terms of like actually being viable, but like playing her a little bit, she feels really good. Doesn't look like Yami's gonna miss any, or Remake's gonna miss any CS, so Yami's doing fine. Uh, I think he gets spotted there, so gets spotted there, gets slept, but nice Justice Punch to just get out. Oh, that's not great. So, ooh, I don't know. Does he like see this or something, or what? Like, does he just know? This is just a timing thing? Holy shit. So, he last sees Kaisa at 10:48. This is just timing. He just like, I think he's just like timing that, oh, Kaisa's probably about here. Because there's no way to know as far as, like, I don't think there's any vision over here. This is an insane play, by the way. Because like, I assume everybody that's watched this has tried to do the fancy predictions. It's fucking hard, man. This like just she is not on vision right now, okay? You cannot see her. At 10:50, like she could have gone this way. She could have gone like back further, right? 10:50, he just flashes over. Does he see the auto first? Is that why he does it? So he sees the the shot from here, and then he flashes as the auto happens. So there's no way for him to know if Kaisa is exactly there. He just knows that she's in this general area, and so he just hits like mechanically. This is an insane play. Flash Q, rocket belt W, also proccing E as well. So it's a mechanically insane play. It's insanely smart with like the timings and the guessings. Like this is just it's just fucking. This is a great mechanical play, and like it it forces it. This is a forced error, okay? Because Yami is like, oh shit, I gotta get the fuck out. I gotta like protect her. As the Hecarim rolls up from a million miles away, going 80 billion miles per hour. Um, and so his ultimate gets no value here. The Kaisa ultimate gets no value as well, just as an escape tool. It's just like this is a great unforced error, right? Like in terms of like, it's a forced error, not an unforced error. This is just KBG outplaying a team fight. And then pretty sure Long just ults in here. Okay, so Long just ulted. Clear elevation. Yeah. They have to give up Ocean Drake. They can't really fight this. Jarmon's in flash for flash with the ADC doesn't feel bad if you're the Galio there, but this team fight doesn't look like it's gonna go well. Yeah, Nova are trying to force something here, but they really just have no option. That KBG are just out team fighting Nova here. Like Nova got the big advantage early. The macro's about even, but they're just out team fighting. Also, Zeri's passive is like, you don't think about it, but it's like sleeper good in terms of how useful it is. Yeah, like once this team fight broke down, KBG just out team fought, right? Like they get the sums, the ults burned here. They try to fight out here. They just force them out, and then after they force them out, they just chase them down and isolate the fights individually and win those. Like it's just a really good play from KBG. Love to see Camille getting pissed stomped. I'm gonna maintain that this champ is not good, and yet we're still gonna be here having this discussion. I'm gonna have to continue to say it. So again, another like not necessarily traditional decision by UU. This was a lot more popular before support items were in the game when there was less economy in terms of what the support could actually build, right? So you'd go like Ixtalis or Fallen or Deadman's into Warmog's armor, because of how there was no support item, so you had to build HP before you built Warmogs, and you also had 0 gold because you didn't have a support item. But it's pretty interesting to see him going that over Warmogs first. Means that like as a team they're really valuing how much magic damage like they think is on this team. Like they're basically saying we don't care about Camille, we don't care about Shen. Like every damage dealer is magic damage, so we don't have to care about them at all. That's why I said I also would have liked to have seen like maybe a slightly AD Kaisa. I don't know. It's a hard choice because AD Kaisa is kind of ass, but at the same time I think it like has a lot of value. Renekton just pushing the wave out as Camille goes up top. Yeah. I mean, him getting 2 turrets is really nice there. So you can just see here, because Camille is in the top side, Vladimir is in the bottom side. Vladimir moves up. As Vladimir moves up, Renekton's just like, oh, I'll just continue to, farm. It's also why KBG don't pursue this. Nova here is 5, so they don't need to fight this at all. It's better for them if they back off and they just let the Renekton farm. He's already like 1.5k gold ahead, so. Both junglers are here. I mean, you have to favor KBG in the 2v2, but at the same time, like this is not a great feeling. Long taunts him out of the meteor, and then they're just gonna flash out and try to get away. But yep, KBG just follow. Again, they clear the mid waves so they can rotate, and you can see how far that top wave is pushed out with another wave coming in. And yeah, interesting that Nian decides not to push that, maybe because he's not a great tower taker as the Vladimir. But we saw, the same thing on the other side of the map, right? Like, if you remember the play that happened, like, 30 seconds to a minute ago? You think of the Renekton pushing this all the way out, and then, Nova is 5 in this area, the blue side of the map. We have literally the exact same play, but Nian is not pushing this out. Instead, he's rotating all the way down. This is, I'm on the Nian hater arc again, man. Homeboy's gotten away with so much from being a world champion. It's insane. Like, being a world champion has paid his paycheck for the last 2 WRL seasons. Probably just gonna try to force Baron. No, the Long is dead, right? No jungler on the other side. Past 12 minutes, you can just try to force Baron. This is 3v5. Oh, well, this doesn't feel great. I mean, I was just hoping for like a big flash or a big engage from Galio followed up by Kaisa. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna be able to stop him here. Camille TP's in. Again, this is a bad time to TP in because you just get caught. That said, they do lose one member and then KG's about half. So plus Long is back up, which means they can't do Baron. Because Long is, if he has Smite up, the Smite's still GOAT, so not worth it. That said, they do get the mid turret off this play, which is really, really nice. We saw last game, KBG were super oppressive in terms of they would just, well, this makes it awkward to draw on the mini map, but so like in this team fight, you just see like again value of stasis right here, right? They sort of can't walk past Yami because he'll have Justice Punch back up. You're making Nian just playing as a two-man unit. They're gonna move this way and then do a bunch of damage, and then the Camille's gonna teleport in and then basically go 1-for-1 with the Zoe. Yeah, so you see the Camille teleports in here. Zoe flashes over, ends up going 1-for-1 with the Camille. But what we saw a lot in the last games and what I've seen from KBG for a long time, so they're just super oppressive about getting the mid push and like trying to keep the wave like right here and not letting it actually, move into their space at all, which lets them get a lot of plays that maybe other teams don't necessarily get a hold of. I mean, this is dangerous. So Alistar goes on a flank up this way. You can see KG and Ran at the bottom of your screen. Let me redo that circle. KG and Anran right there. They have a flank as well. Like Nova are getting pinched from basically. Let me delete this off the screen. Nova are getting pinched from basically a half circle here. And the only direction they really have is this way to escape, which is really hard because you can't, like, Remake can't really get there without using Flash. And if he goes Flash for Flash, he's dead. So this is really bad positioning from Nova. Really fast breakdown to the front to back. So Udak going a long goes on to Xiaoma. Remake ults over here. And then Yai's KG are in the back doing top lane things. Long dies here. They traded out for the... They traded for the kill onto the Renekton, but like look at the health bars, right? Everybody's half health. Full health. About, you know, a little bit more than half. A little bit more than half. Like, health bars are just so insanely bad for them right now. Zeri gets a reset, which means she's gonna have her ult for the rest of the fight, and yeah. At this point the game is over. It's impossible to win. They're just gonna get Baron, run it down mid. Yeah, so I mean, first of all, you can't have a long solo back here. He just doesn't do enough damage. Like, he even smites for the HP, but Grievous wounds on top of him, no health regen. And then the HP bars on the rest of the team as they get out of that fight with Renekton, they're just way too low. Okay, so they grabbed Baron in the time frame that we were not looking. Renekton has Hullbreaker at this point. I mean, I don't think they're going to go for Elder here. Going for Elder is kind of risky because, like, if a miracle happens, there's no reason to, like, give it up. And then Dat just hits a nice engage. So, forces out Camille Flash. Or Camille ult. So, feeling pretty good about that. And then they're going to get the other inhib as well. Looks like. Yep. Baron empowered Hullbreaker minions are really fun. I love Hullbreaker. I love Hullbreaker. It's so fun. I love Hullbreaker. I have become a Hullbreaker hater after watching WRL, by the way. I hate that item with a passion. Yami gets caught out. Flashes. I don't know. This game feels over at this point. 6k gold lead. You can see that they're just forcing everything out of them before they attempt this. They have vision on long as well. Doesn't even get to play the game, and then they get Elder, and then the game is over. Xiaoma just literally 1v9ing. Trying to make sure they get the kill on Yai's before he can get back to base. But the game's over anyways. That was a quick one, it felt like. How long did this take? 43 minutes. I don't know, it felt like there wasn't a lot to talk about this game, to be honest. Like, there weren't as many interesting plays as I think as the last game. And, like, I think that Nova had the advantage, but they were just not team fighting well. And that's, you know, gonna hurt if you can't team fight, especially in a game that's, like, more heavily emphasized on team fighting. Yeah, so if y'all are seeing this, hopefully the co-streams for today have been uploaded as well. If you're interested, check out the Twitch, check out the Twitter, you know, at mblazikenq on Twitter, and then mblaziken2 on Twitch, so make sure you check those out.